Welcome back to the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. This is episode 57, and as always, I am Jack, and tonight it's just Charlie joining me. Calvin is caught with other things just now, so just Charlie joining me tonight. How are you, Charlie?
I'm good, mate. Aye, feels like a long time since I've seen you, but I'm joking. It's only been a couple of days, but aye, doing good, mate. Yourself?
I'm fine, obviously. As people would have seen, I got some big news last night that I've been accepted onto the sports journalism course in Napier, starting from September this year. So at least one of us will be qualified to talk a load of shite on here. Good enough. But really exciting times ahead. So really happy with that. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it would take a wee while longer than that, but came through. So really happy with that. Over the moon. So this is just our usual little preview podcast that we put out on a Thursday ahead of match day. So we'll be previewing it's well part two. Both Hibs men and women are taking on Motherwell. She's fine, thank you. The men in the Scottish Cup and the women in the league. So we'll start off with the men's game against Motherwell. Scottish Cup quarter final heading through to Fir Park for the third time this season to take on Motherwell. I like Fir Park, good ground, so I'm glad we got that good away tie. So obviously a big game, a quarter final. We faced Motherwell last season in the quarter finals as well, beating them on penalties at Easter Road. So are you confident heading into the game, Charlie?
Quietly, I think it'll be a good game. I think we'll get through. I think it'll be a tough game, but quietly confident, mate. I think we've got enough in us to get through.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I think we've got enough in us. You know, Motherwell, we've sort of proven we can beat them this season. I know we beat them at the start of the season, albeit we had a full strength squad back at the start of the season. But I think we can beat Motherwell. We know we can. We've got that result on the belt against them last season. Obviously, that was a good game at Easter Road, right enough. And I think so we've got that sort of history behind us as well that we know we can beat Motherwell in a setting of the cup as well. So I am quietly confident, same as you. I think we have got enough in the tank to beat them, and we know we can beat them as well, albeit Fir Park is a very tough place to go. So obviously, Charlie, we've actually had a decent record against Motherwell this season. We've unbeaten against them, first of all, played them 3 times, winning once 3-2 at Parkhead, and then 2 draws, 1-1 at Easter Road, Fir Park, sorry. Then Parkhead came through there. I apologise for that, folks. I'm a bit tired today, obviously, after all the excitement, I'm a bit tired. Fir Park, I could see Charlie sort of looking there like, what are you on about? 1-1 at Easter Road, I managed to get it right, I didn't say Tynecastle, it's all right. And obviously there was the 0-0 at Fir Park again. So, obviously, Charlie, having that good record against them this season, obviously unbeaten, and each time we've played them, we've actually played decently. I think at Easter Road, you could have said we should have got all 3 points in that game back. That was obviously one of Jack Ross's sort of last games in charge. So do you think that good record against Motherwell holds us in good stead heading into the game, and does it work in our favour?
I think what's more important is that we've got a good record in the Scottish Cup, sort of get into the latter stages. So I think that'll play more into the benefit and more into the occasion than Motherwell. I think I would be saying the same if we were playing St Mirren, or I wouldn't be saying the same against Hearts or the Old Firm. But I think when you look at it, like we played them this time in the cup last season and we got through, and we've been in the semi-final of the cup for a good few years now. I think can't remember the last time we never made the semis. So it's that's putting us in good shape, I would say, going into the game on Sunday. I think I think obviously beating Motherwell at the start of the season will give us a wee bit of confidence knowing that we have done it, but we've not beat them since. So obviously that's gonna make it a wee bit harder trying to break them down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with the cup record as well. We've got an excellent record in the cup. We're regularly at Hampden, whether that be for semi-finals, final. We're always getting to Hampden. In both cup competitions, we're good at getting to at least the semis. And that's not just recently, obviously, despite the fact we had that bit of the curse in the cup. I think we were always getting to finals and semi-finals. So we are a good cup side. And I think that does hold us in good stead heading into this game, definitely. And obviously we've got that record against Motherwell. And again, I agree with you that obviously we've proven we can beat them. Obviously we've not done it since, but we've proven we can beat Motherwell. And that's important because they're one of these sides that, even though they're difficult to play, we've got that sort of experience against them. We know we can do it. But yeah, I think it is going to be a tight game because obviously the game in the quarter-final last season at Easter Road went all the way to penalties. Sort of a late Motherwell comeback gave us a bit of a fright, and it had to go all the way to penalties. And obviously Matt Macy really stepped up that penalty shootout, and of course Porto scored the winning penalty. You can see that Charlie's background is the moment we won that game. So yeah, I think it is going to be an interesting one. I think it's going to be the games against Motherwell, no matter what competition you play them in, are always really, really good games. Obviously, you've got some crackers in the past, including 6-6. So I think that it's going to be an entertaining tie. Obviously, if you're a neutral, it's going to be an entertaining tie either way. For us Hibs fans, we're going to be biting our nails and hiding behind the couch if we're not there, and hiding behind your seats if you are there. You know, and that is genuinely what it's like. I think there's very seldom that we go to Fir Park and get humped. You know, I think the last times when we had Heckingbottom and it was 3-0 Motherwell, that's the last time I can remember getting utterly like done over by them. So, you know, they always are, no matter what the outcome, whether it's a draw or they win or we win, they're always very, very tight games. So which is good, I think, because we're two quality sides. I think Motherwell have got a lot of quality. And talking about that, Charlie, we'll move on and sort of talk about what threats the Motherwell pose. What threats the Motherwell pose to us as a side?
I think they're a decent side defensively, so that'll obviously be hard to break down. And I think they're decent going forward this season. I think from what I've seen of them, you know, I think they've got goals in them. Obviously, they lost Tony Watt in January, but you know, they've got Kevin Van Veen up front, and they've got Jordan Roberts as well, who has scored a few goals as well. So I think that's the two biggest ones. I think their goal scoring threat, and they're pretty tight at the back.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. You know, I think losing Tony Watt didn't really do them any favours, but yeah, I've got Van Veen, who has more than stepped up to the plate for me. I would never say he's a Tony Watt replacement, but he is a good player and he's done the job that Motherwell need him to do. I think, yeah, they're a very, very tough side to break down. Seen that at the game at Easter Road, you know, once they got themselves level again, they were happy just to sort of shut up shop, and it was really difficult for us to try and break them down. And that's when we had Boyle in the team as well. You noticed that in the 0-0 game for Park as well. Really, really tough for them to break down. Very, very physical side, Motherwell. And that is a threat they pose because we don't like getting noised up or anything like that. You know, I think you've got a few players like Jasper that'll maybe try and take players on and like that. But apart from that, I think we've not really got players that really want to get really stuck in about it for me. We've got a good thing. Doidge used to be that player, but obviously we've discussed it so many times. Because Doidge has obviously got his problems now after coming back to the injury and COVID and everything like that. I don't think Doidge is that player anymore. He doesn't really like to get sort of roughed up, and a few of our midfielders don't really like getting themselves into that situation either. So I think that physical threat is going to be our Achilles heel in that game that Motherwell provide.
Melkerson and Hauger have shown that a wee bit though when they've come in the team the past two games, mate. They both look up player.
I was actually a bit. It's good that you brought that up. It's like we're reading each other's thoughts there, because I was actually about to bring that up. I was about to say, Hauger and Melkerson. I think they're going to have a field day at Fir Park, the two of them, because they'll be right up for it. I think that is how they play in Norway. Norway, it's a very physical game over there. Haaland was talking about that when he went to Dortmund, that it is a very physical game in Norway, and that's how they're taught. So I definitely think that for Hauger and Melkerson, they'll be right up for it. That's the sort of game that they'll sort of get themselves in and be more than happy to get stuck in with that, get dirty in that game, definitely. And I think for me, if they had Tony Watt, I think talking about their goal threat would be a big point for me. They don't, but then again, they have a lot of big guys, and even now under Maloney, balls into the box are still a thing we're struggling to deal with. I think it's a lot better than it used to be, but I still think like sometimes you see a ball come into the box and you go, oh, could have dealt with that a bit better there. So I think that's going to be difficult, because that's what I suspect Motherwell are going to be doing, is get their big guys into the box, put a lot of pressure on Macy, put a lot of pressure on our defence by putting balls into the box. So we're going to have to watch out for that. For me, that's a big one for me, is the balls into the box as well, because Van Veen's a big guy and they've got a few more as well. So for me, yeah, I more or less agree with you. It's Motherwell's physical presence on the pitch is very, very difficult to deal with, and then also they have got some decent attacking threat. They've looked a good side. I think Graham Alexander is a good manager. He's got some good tactics, and he knows how to get the best out of his players, which is always difficult playing against a team like that, where the coach is getting the best out of his players, and he always sets them up sort of spot on and has the players fitted into a system that they're comfortable with. So moving on, and this is a big talking point for me, Charlie, is a big chance for Sean Maloney to get to Hampden at the first time of asking as a manager. Obviously, well, we can say he's been to Hampden before in his coaching career, obviously with Belgium, but this is his first time in club football. And I tell you what, if he's going to do things at Hampden like Belgium did to Scotland, then I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Yeah, definitely. But because his first time in his club management career, shall we say, that he's getting Hampden at the first time of asking. So do you think that puts the pressure on Maloney a little bit more, knowing that, you know, that he could get in his first, not even full season, in his first sort of spell in club management, he could get a side to the National Stadium and into the semi-finals of the Cup?
I think it'll be more personal pressure rather than pressure from the fans. I think,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, we obviously expect it. We're at Hampden every year, but I think Maloney will want to prove a point that he, you know, you heard what he said on Long Bangers, his podcast. Give that a wee shout out if you're not listening to it. Give it a listen because it's fantastic. He said that he wants to win us a cup, so I would imagine that's top of his priority list for the weekend, is to get us back to Hampden. You know, I've already been there twice this season. I would like to be there another twice with a cup at the end of it. So, no, I think it's going to be, he's going to drill it into the players that, you know, anything other than going to Hampden's unacceptable. So, no, I think he'll add a lot of pressure onto himself. I don't think there'll be any outside pressure for sure.
Yeah, I think it's all, and you could. I've got to say, yeah, shout out to Long Bangers, excellent interview with Sean. I think it was it, and it was great how open Sean was, and how much he expressed his frustration that people not wanting us to do well, and sort of a lot of the criticism from outside the club that he's been getting, and I think the press have been giving us a lot of bad stick as well and everything like that. So I think fair play to Sean, but yeah, it's great to hear that he's got that ambition, that he's here to win silverware. He's here to make a statement. I think you can tell that he means business, and that's what we need. We've been needing that sort of manager with that ambition and drive for quite a wee while. That, you know what, I do want to win trophies. It's not they're not empty words for Sean. I don't. Every manager obviously says they want to win trophies, but it's not empty words from Sean, I don't think. And he's, I think he's obviously had to go through a few acid tests in the cup. Obviously, you've had Cove. That was a really, really tough game. And we barely got out of that one. And then obviously Arbroath was always going to be tough, but he did well up there. So I think this is going to define him. I think this is going to define him in a positive way. In a positive way, I think he's going to get us to that semi-final. I think we've actually got a big chance of winning the cup. I think both Rangers and Celtic have proved, Rangers especially from our point of view, we know we can beat them at the National Stadium. We know we can do that with that team as well. And I think Celtic have looked beatable. Definitely the 0-0 at Easter Road. I think you're looking at that. If we could put in that sort of performance in a semi-final or a final, we could take Celtic all the way to extra time penalties and beat them. Hearts managed to do it with a championship team. They managed to take Celtic, albeit a sort of very different Celtic side to what they have now. But then again, they still managed to take as a championship side. Not to praise them, by the way, before people start that this isn't. It's just. It just happens to be Hearts. If it had been Queen of the South or whatever, I'd be saying the same. It's not because it's Hearts, don't worry. They managed to take Celtic to penalties as a championship team. So I think we're more than capable of it. And the belief needs to be there. The belief is half the battle for me when you look at that. So, Charlie, what, in your opinion, do we need to do to beat Motherwell in the Scottish Cup quarter-final?
Keep it tight at the back. I think we've done that the past few weeks. You know, we've had 4 clean sheets in a row now. You know, when was the last time we ever done that? So I think keep it tight at the back and take our chances. I think is the big thing. You know, it's all fine and well having, you know, for like 60% possession, but if you didn't score, it's sort of wasted, isn't it? So
Yeah,
I think keep it tight at the back and take our chances, and we'll be fine.
yeah, absolutely, Charlie. I think I agree with you, and that's the big one for me. That is the big one for me, is the taking our chances. We need to, and I know in a cup game you can sort of go, well, at least after 90 minutes you've got extra time or penalties. I don't think we should have to get to that point. For me, I think if we take our chances, we'll beat them in the regular and full 90 for me. But yeah, I think the other one is cut out the silly mistake. Now, I think keeping it tight in the back, I think that one goes without saying, but I think cutting out the silly mistakes in midfield as well. I think we noticed it against St Johnstone, we're still giving the ball away quite cheaply in midfield, some of the players. So I think that's a big thing, is we need to keep it sort of tight and regimented in midfield. Midfield needs to be on everything like that. You know, I think that's how we need to be sharp in midfield. We need to be ready in midfield. I think the midfield can be our Achilles heel sometimes, where we sort of make silly mistakes there, and that does lead to teams scoring goals. So yeah, for me, keep it tight midfield, keep it tight at the back, and take our chances. That's it. Because Motherwell, I think when they get pressurised, they can start to panic. When they get frustrated out the game plan they have, they begin to panic. I've noticed that so many times this season. When we beat them 3-2 at the start of the season, that was it. They had a game plan. We frustrated them out of that, and in the end, we managed to. You know, it was a very silly mistake from them to give away the penalty that eventually got us ahead and won the game. So I think, yeah, put pressure on Motherwell and they begin to panic. So that's it for me. But the big thing, and I'll sound like a broken record because I do say it every time we preview a game, is the big thing is we really do need to take our chances. That's it, because even if it's a scrappy 1-0 win, it's cup football. It doesn't matter. It's the getting through that matters. So even if it's blimmin', I don't know, even if Macy Oxley's it, or even if it's like a Motherwell horrible scrappy own goal because there was a bit of a scramble on the line or anything like that. That's what matters, is just getting the ball in the back of the net. And we need to find ways of doing that, because I think our lack of goal threat right now plays into Motherwell's hands a bit in the game. I definitely think. Charlie, what's your view on that? Do you think our lack of goal threat feeds into Motherwell's hands a bit, plays into their hands a bit?
A wee bit, mate. Aye, I think I'm just going to quickly look at how many goals they've scored in the past few games. Give me a sec. But I think they'll know that we've not scored many goals, and they'll probably try and capitalise on that. If you look at, I'm on, you know, their past 5 games, they beat Motherwell. They beat Aberdeen 2-1. They drew 1-1 with Aberdeen. They drew 2-2 with Rangers. They got beat off Ross County 1-0, and they drew 1-1 with Dundee. So they are scoring goals, but they're also conceding goals. So I think, and bearing in mind where they're 8th, but they're only a point below us, but they've got 11. They've conceded 11 more goals. So, you know, that if that tells you anything, it tells you that Motherwell concede goals. So I think we need to be assured of that, and they'll be trying. They've scored more goals than us if you look at it that way as well. So they'll be trying to capitalise on the fact of that too. But at the end of the day, mate, it's a cup game. Form goes out the window. So it's a very hard one to predict.
It is. So we'll move on now very briefly, Charlie. What do you think the lineup's going to look like on Sunday?
Very similar to Saturday, mate. I don't know. There'll be no changes in lineup, I would imagine. I would imagine it'll be the same, but maybe Melkerson over Doidge up top, and I think that'll be it. I don't know. There's nobody really due back, so I think he'll go with the same team.
I think so, and I think the bench sub is going to be interesting. I would like to see a few more of the young lads get in and get their chance on the bench. I think Josh O'Connor especially, I don't think the youth teams have games this weekend, so Josh O'Connor would be free to play in the game coming off the bench. Also, I think it would be great to see the Belgian lad from Liège. I think it'd be good to see him maybe get on for a wee while in the game. Or even, I think this is a game where you could start him. I think you could put him into that defence and he would do quite well. So
it's a hard one, mate, because it's a big game. You know, I think Maloney will probably want to have his experienced players.
Throw him in at the deep end. You know, that's the best way. I think I think we could see him come off the bench, though. I definitely think this is a game where Maloney might give him his chance. That's a little prediction from me right there. I think, yeah, for me, it's going to be very, very similar, if not the same, to Saturday. The only change, sorry, I see Maloney making is Melkerson over Doige. I think that's a change we need. I think if we give Melkerson a full 90 or at least like a 70 or an 80, I think he could score goals. We definitely, I think the lad, if he starts, will give us something special because we've seen flashes of it. We've seen it at Dundee. We've seen it against St Johnstone. So I think this could be the game that if we start him, he scores. Definitely. I definitely think so. So it will be interesting. Obviously, I see Dabrowski staying in goal for this one. There's no point in changing it up, even if Macy, I think Macy's injured because Mitchell was obviously on the bench. So if Macy's not fit, you know, he won't be there. And I don't think there's any point in putting Macy in. I think Kev's been doing more than enough to deserve to start this game. I think we look a bit more solid with Kev in goal, to be honest, as well. It's nothing against Macy at all. I prefer Dabrowski as a goalkeeper to me, and I think he's done more than enough to earn that start again. So yeah, that's my lineup. So Charlie, we'll now move on to score predictions. So very briefly, what's your score prediction for Sunday?
I think it'll be 1-1, and then I think Hibs will win on penalties.
Oh, how much do you think we're going to win on penalties? 5-4?
4-2.
You think we're going to win 4-2 on penalties?
4-2 on penalties.
I'm going to say we're going to win 1-0 in regular time. I think we're going to win 1-0 over the 90. And I think, you know what, I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to tip Melkerson to get his first Hibs goal. So there we go. So it's going to be 1-0.
Love to see it. I'd love to see it, mate, but I think it's going all the way.
We'll have to see it. Right. So I think, I'm going to say 1-0. Melkerson getting the goal. But I think it's going to be like sort of towards the end. So I'm going to say like 75th, 80th minute. I think that's when we're going to score. But anyway, 1-0. So we'll move on to our second encounter with Motherwell. That is Hibs Women taking on Motherwell in the SWPL 1. So obviously Hibs Women are looking to get back to winning ways after a bit of slump in league form. So heading into this one, are you confident, Charlie?
It's a hard question, isn't it? Nah, not really.
Yeah, I think it is going to be difficult. Motherwell are a very good team. And obviously they've got two of our ex-players in there, Katie Rice and Carla Boyce. Carla especially has been on fire recently for Motherwell. So I think that's a worrying sign. Katie Rice also is one of the best young defenders in the country. I don't see her staying at Motherwell much longer. I could actually see her going to one of the Glasgow clubs. Katie Rice, because she's a quality player, and obviously they've got the experienced head in defence like Leah in the form of Leanne Crichton as well. So it is going to be a very, very tough one for us. And the fact that obviously we're not beating teams round that sort of neck of the woods of the table like Spartans and Aberdeen, it does concern me a bit. And obviously, moving on, you know, we've played Motherwell twice this season so far, and we've beaten them twice. It was 4-0 at Alliance Park at the start of the season, and then a very, very tight 1-0 win over them at Pennycook Park, thanks to Kirsty Morrison. So, Charlie, as I touched on there, obviously our form against the teams in that sort of neck of the woods of the table hasn't been great of late. So, do you think that's going to make it difficult for us, and do you think we're going to make it more difficult for ourselves in the game?
I think we just need to beat teams like that are in that end of the table. If we want to finish fourth, like it's no rocket science. If you beat the teams around you, you finish above them. So I think we need to win. Like it's one of those games that shouldn't be a must win, but it sort of feels like it after the run that we've been on. I know we've not lost that many games recently, but no,
it's just the games we did. Obviously, we've lost 2 on the bounce, but it's because they're against teams we really should have been beaten, like Aberdeen and Spartans. You know, like I said, that's one of the worst Spartans sides I've seen in years. And Aberdeen, I think Aberdeen are an okay side, but they're nothing special for me. So I think that is, it shouldn't be a must-win game, but it really sort of isn't, because obviously we have 2 games in hand on Spartans, who are behind us in 5th. Now, if we end up dropping to 5th, which I don't think will happen, but theoretically, if we end up dropping to 5th, that would be our worst league finish ever. That would be the women's worst league finish ever, which would be quite disappointing. But I still think we'll finish fourth, but we need to be winning games so that Spartans don't catch us. Having said that, we have a far superior goal difference to Spartans. We're sitting on about +9, and Spartans are on -17 or something like that. So I think that shows there is a bit of a gulf between the top four and then the rest of the league. That they're on like minus double figures, and we're on +9. So I do think we'll still finish fourth, but this does make this a sort of must-win game. Charlie, do you think if we can't manage to beat Motherwell that we might have to start worrying about dropping down to fifth if we can't beat teams like this? If we do, it's been a long time since we've lost 3 games in a row. We haven't done that yet this season. So what are your views on that?
I'm worrying about it already, mate, to be honest. No, I think we should be worrying already. I don't think we should wait until the warning signs are there. You should always be worrying that you might finish lower than you are. Like going back to the men's one, there's a point separating 4th and 9th. So I'm worrying that we could finish in the bottom 6. So I think it's definitely wise to worry about it. I don't think we will finish lower than 4th, but it's you should always be worried about these kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously, talking about very briefly lineup, I think I'll sort of go first with this because obviously I'm the expert. But I've just sort of realised how sort of shand that was to you there, Charlie. I apologise, but I think for me, I'd bring Penman back into the team. I think she was what we were missing against Spartans. To be honest, she had a good game against Gat Cairns. She had a good game against Glasgow City. So I think, to be honest, Jenna's. We need Jenna. We need Jenna back in because she's an out-and-out full-back. It would be silly to play central defenders at full-back like we did against Spartans. I think bring Penman in. I think she'll have a good game. This is, again, the sort of game where she'll be more than capable. When she was at Aberdeen, she had a good game against Motherwell. So I think we need Penman in there. I don't know what we're going to do apart from that because obviously we're very limited with what we've got injuries wise. There's no Rosie Livingston because she's out in Albania with the Scotland under-17s Euro qualifying. So I don't think that sort of takes an attacking option away. Ailey Adams, I'm not sure how she is fitness wise. I don't think she will be able to start. And then we don't have an out-and-out striker. I think Alexa really struggled against Spartans, and she really struggled against Motherwell. Leanne Crichton had Alexa in her back pocket the whole game. And I think it's going to be different because Alexa's obviously the sort of player that she doesn't deal well with getting involved in these physical situations. And Leanne Crichton just bullied her about the park on the last time we played them. So I think it's going to be a problem in terms of that. I'm not sure. I would like to see Tony come into midfield again. People are going to be fed up of hearing this. I would like to see Tony come into midfield to give us that attacking options. Again, that's what we were missing against Spartans. We were missing that sort of attacking option in midfield. Shannon McGregor's sort of your all-rounder, and she's more of the sort of engine room in midfield, whilst Tony's the sort of forward option. She'll get the ball and go forward. And I'd like to see Ria get on. I think Ria will stay on the bench, but I'd like to see her get on. But we're very limited, obviously, with what we can do with the lineup because of injury. I would like to see Emily replace Gabby just to give Emily another bit of game time because I think Gabby's not kept a clean sheet in a while. So it'd be good to see Emily get a chance because Emily actually has kept more league clean sheets recently than Gabby has. So, Charlie, what do you think will happen lineup-wise?
I think he'll keep with the same team, to be honest, mate. I don't think he'll change much. Maybe he'll swap the keeper, but apart from that, there's not really much you can do when you've got players out injured and players away in international duty, which is good. But I think it'll be very similar. I can't see Tony or Ria starting, or maybe come off the bench, hopefully. But apart from that, I can't see it.
Yeah, I think that's the same. I don't think there's too much, but I think even though we are limited, we need to start doing a bit of team rotation, because that's why I think we're getting so many injuries. Is there's sticking with players too much, and we do have a decent amount of depth in the squad, but sticking with players too much, and you need to rotate a team, and those injuries are going to become a problem. That's fatigue and everything like that. So, yeah, well, it will be interesting. Also, I'd just like to touch on that Rosie Livingston got on off the bench and scored in the under-17s 9-0 win over Macedonia. in Albania the other day there. So massive.
You
well
are
done to Rosie.
you are the expert, mate. I would never be able to tell you that.
Well, there you go. So Rosie got on and scored in the under-17s 9-0 win over. I meant to say former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia there because the Greeks get upset otherwise. So she got on against former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and in Scotland under-17s 9-0 win. So a very good campaign for Scotland. And I think it's great that at 15 she's seen countries that I'd never imagined going to, like Albania and everything like that. So fair play to Rosie. Well done on getting a goal for everyone at the podcast. You know, you're doing well for Hibs, and hopefully someday in the not too distant future she'll be doing it for the Scotland senior team as well. So that concludes. Oh, sorry. Well, score predictions again. I apologise to everybody. It's been a long sort of 24 hours, so it's going very quickly. Score predictions, Charlie.
2-2.
I say 2-2. I'm going to say this is tough. I'm going to say 2-1 Hibs. I'm gonna say Carla. You know what? I can just see it happening now. I think Carla will score for Motherwell. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. She wasn't a kick in the backside of doing it when we played them at Pennycook Park. I think Carla and Katie are going to have good games against us. It would just be typical Hibs that two ex-players are going to absolutely rip us to shreds. But I think we will get to. I could actually see Motherwell going 1-0 up and then us getting 2 goals back. And you know what? I'm going to say Alexa will score. I think maybe this is where Alexa will find her form a bit because she needs to, and I really hope she does as well. So yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Hibs. Charlie saying 2-2 there. So that concludes both our Motherwell previews. Well. So we'll now move on to the quiz. Hi, B quiz, and it's me in the quiz master role today. So Charlie will be answering the questions. Let's see how many you can get, Charlie. We'll jump right in it. As always, 3 on the men, 3 on the women. So let's jump right into it. So first question. Hibs made it all the way to the semi-finals of the first ever European Cup in the 1955-56 season. What French side did we eventually fall short against the semis? So this is multiple choice. So was it A, Olympique Marseille, B, PSG, or C, Stade de
Reims? Marseille. I
can reveal that you are wrong. It's Stade de Reims. So we got beat by Stade de Reims. So we beat Rot-Weiss Essen, then Djurgårdens from Sweden, the big Stockholm team. And that, if we'd beaten Stade de Reims in the semi-final, we would have set up a meeting with Real Madrid in the final. Real Madrid won the first ever European Cup that season. So there you go. Not a bad run, though. Not a bad run. So I threw in a bit of a red herring because obviously PSG didn't actually exist back then. But there you go. I think that was a difficult one. I think the next question is maybe a bit less difficult. But there you go, Charlie. Off to an excellent start. So number 2, Calvin probably would have said PSV Eindhoven or something like that. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Calvin. So number 2, Hibs and Motherwell. I thought I'd throw in a Motherwell question since we're playing them on Sunday. Hibs and Motherwell drew 6-6 at Fir Park in 2010, one of the highest scoring SPFL games ever. Who bagged a hat-trick for Hibs in that game?
Colin Nish.
Correct. So there you go. You got 1 point. Colin Nish bagged the hat-trick. I think Stokesy got himself a brace, and then it was Riordan as well.
Aye, Riordan scored as well, if I remember correctly. We're 6-2 up. We're 6-2 up at one point.
Yep, that's typical. And Yogi Hughes is obviously the manager back then as well. So yeah, one of the highest scoring games in SPFL history, as I said there. So the last question on the men's, you're currently got 1 out of 2. So
1 for 2. Come on.
So last question for the men's, and since we're having him on the podcast on Friday night, how many goals did Boozy score over his Hibs career?
10.
Correct. Well done. So
it's almost like I was researching that earlier.
yeah. I forgot about that.
10.
I didn't realize. I was hardly going to say what number did he win.
Oh no, 10. I think.
So there you go. So Charlie, 2 out of 3.
Fun fact: Boozy scored 10 goals at Hibs, and that was the most he scored at one professional club.
There you go. So Charlie's bringing out all the knowledge on Boozy there. So you're currently doing well. 2 out of 3 heading into the women's questions. So, first of the women's questions. What current Manchester City and Scotland midfielder went to the Hibs Academy and began her career at Hibs Women?
Caroline Weir.
Correct. So there you go. That is correct. The Mundo, Caroline Weir. I'd say arguably after Claire Elmsley and Kim Little, one of the best players to have ever played for Hibs Women, Caroline Weir, and obviously one of Scotland's best player, if not the best Scottish player out there right now, Caroline Weir. She scored some beauties for Man City in the Women's League Cup final down in England. So yeah, fair play. She used to play for Hibs, by the way. Wink, wink. So there you go, Caroline Weir. So you're now 3 out of 4, Charlie. So moving on to our next question. What team did Tony Malone make a competitive debut against last year? Was it A, Kilmarnock, B, Dundee United, or C, Stirling University?
Kelly.
You are wrong. It was Dundee
yep.
United. She wasn't even in the country when we played Kelly because her visa got held up.
Was it Alexa that debuted against Kelly?
Yeah, Alexa and Gabby debuted against Kelly.
There we go.
Tony debuted in her 10-2 League Cup group stage win.
She also did she not also score in that game?
She scored as well. She scored in that game as well.
Fountain of all knowledge, you know, except getting them right.
So that's 3 out of 5. Coming into the final question. Who is Hibs Women's longest? If you don't get this, I'll be disappointed. Who's Hibs Women's longest serving player who's currently in the team?
Joelle.
Correct. You are correct. Our captain, Joelle Murray, is our current longest serving player. She's been at the club, if you count the academy as well, if you count her going through the academy, she's been at the club for well over 20 years. So a real club servant, even longer than Louis. That took some beating, but even longer than Louis Stevenson as well. So Joelle Murray, our longest serving player. So I can reveal, Charlie, that in the end you got 4 out of 6. Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. I'm disappointed that you didn't
should have probably got 6, but that's all right.
Disappointed you didn't get your European Cup one, to be honest.
I know.
Yeah, I think Hibs Historical Society will be having a word with you. But there we go, guys. So that concludes this week's episode of the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. Now, as we discussed in the quiz there, we have a very, very special guest on the podcast on Friday night. The man himself, Boozy, coming on the podcast. League Cup winner and current coach as well. So really, really excited for that. And, you know, it's going to be happening at a very special location as well. So, yeah, I'm sure all of you will be able to guess what that special location is. But you'll just have to find out. We'll maybe drop a teaser or two. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Charlie, have you got any announcements on top of that? Or are we just so excited for Boozy that nothing else matters?
I'm excited for Boozy, mate. It'll be good. Aye, we've got some other ones in the pipeline, but
yeah,
Boozy's tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to that.
So yeah, I've just to say I've got plenty in the pipeline, guys. So as always, keep your eyes peeled. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Until we see you next time, glory to the Hibs. Hey,